In this video, we're going to talk about the Fujifilm X-T4 release date, the X Summit 2020, the X100V, along with the new products that just got released in the last week, and my thoughts and predictions on this. So let's get right into it. If you haven't already seen my X-T4 specs video, you can check that out by clicking on the box right here. Unfortunately, the Fujifilm X-T4 will not be announced during the X Summit 2020, which is held next week on the 4th of February. That's kind of been unofficially confirmed now, but we'll get back to that in a second. I want to shift the focus over to X Summit 2020. This is going to be the third X Summit being held by Fujifilm, the first one being in Dubai early last year in February, I think, and another one in Tokyo, Japan, I think in September, October. The one held next week is going to be at Fujifilm House of Photography in London, UK. FujiAddicts.com has kindly created a timeline of when the X Summit 2020 will be streamed. They also created a link for you to add to your calendar, which I'll put in the description down below. But I want to quickly jump into the event on what we can expect, what I'm expecting, along with the panelists. So the first thing we know is that the X-T4 will not be announced at this event. So the main focus will actually be on the X100V. This camera is marketed for the street photographers, just like the X Pro 3, except it has a 23mm focal length, which is equivalent to a 35mm in the full frame world. Now, we don't know what the aperture is going to be exactly just yet, but I think most people are still expecting it to be f2 to keep it in a small and compact size. It is rumored to have a closer focusing distance as well as weather sealing, so that goes for the whole body as well. One can only hope that is true. It is also expected to have a newer sensor and better autofocus than the X100F, and apparently the price is going to be at $1,500 USD. Alright, let's quickly talk about the photographers that got invited to be the panelists. First, Valérie Jardin. She's a renowned French street photographer who's also an ex-photographer, which is equivalent to an ambassador in the Fujifilm world. Now, it makes perfect sense that she got invited to be on the panelist. I remember watching one of her videos saying that her all-time favorite camera is the X100F. So having the X100 series camera being her favorite, it only makes perfect sense that they invited her to be a panelist, because I'm sure Fujifilm had already given her the X100V to do field test for the last few months, more than likely. So during this X Summit, she's going to let us know her thoughts and what she likes about this camera, and I'm excited to see what she has to say about that. So the second photographer is Joe Allen. I don't really know too much about him, but I do remember seeing some of his videos on YouTube, and each of them that I've seen personally of him in New York City doing street photography with a few of his friends. I really enjoyed his videos. On his channel though, he's marketing himself to be a creative, travel and lifestyle photographer, I think from memory. I think I remember in one of his videos him saying that his favorite body is the XH1, but I think he also shoots with the X100 series cameras, and also because he's a street photographer and well known on YouTube, it makes sense that he gets invited to this event even though he's not an ex-photographer. I'll put both Valerie and Joe's Instagram and YouTube channel down below in the description if you want to check them out. And finally, I want to talk about Toshi. He's the general manager of Fujifilm. From what I know of him, he's a really down-to-earth guy, and needless to say, his main focus is wanting the best for Fujifilm and its customers. So I'm really excited to see what he has to announce during the X Summit next week. Okay, so what do I think about the X-T4 not being announced at X Summit 2020? Personally, at first I thought it was a little bit strange, just because it makes sense to announce the latest and greatest at your biggest event. However, if they also have the X100V to showcase, it makes sense they won't have the X-T4 to steal the spotlight from that. But fresh rumors did come in today saying that it will be announced on the 26th of February, which is a day before the CP Plus show held in Japan. And finally, with the X Summit 2020, maybe it's not a prediction, but something that I'm just hoping for dearly, and I'm sure a lot of Fujifilm users are thinking the same thing, and that is the X series lens roadmap. Fujifilm please release the lens roadmap. We've been waiting very impatiently for this. So if you could just give that to us, I'm pretty sure you're going to make a lot of us happy. Personally, I would love to see a refresh of all the fast lenses, being the 23 and the 35mm f1.4 as well as the 56mm f1.2. I know that the 33mm is due to be released this year, so they probably won't do a 35mm f1.4 refresh, which is a shame because I can't really see myself buying the 33mm f1. And it comes down to two factors. The first and major one being the size. You know, I bought the Fujifilm system for its compactness, and f1 lens sounds like it's going to be huge. The second thing would be a price tag. Even though if I did love it, it will probably cost me an arm and leg for it. And I'm guessing the price tag will probably be at about the sub $2,000 mark. So as of current, that lens is probably a no-no for me. On a side note, Filtrox will be releasing their fast prime lenses in March, that being the 23, 35 and 56mm f1.4, all at the cost of $250. And finally, I just want to finish off this video with saying that Fujifilm is on fire right now. Off to a great start of the year with releasing a whole heap of products already, that being the X-T200, which is a great entry camera, and also the XC35mm lens, which is exactly the same as the XF35mm f2 lens. These two lenses are both the same, the only difference being that the construction of the XT35mm being a little bit cheaper. It is made out of plastic, it doesn't have weather sealing, and it also doesn't have an aperture ring. However, it is $200 cheaper though. So for anyone that's just getting into the Fujifilm system, this lens would be a great one and I would highly recommend it. I do own the XF35mm f2 myself, and I love that lens. I use it myself all the time, and I'm sure I'll make a review on this sometime in the near future as well. Also, they just released the new GFX lens. It's the 45 to 100mm, which is a 35 to 79mm full frame equivalent. Along with that, they also released the GFX lens roadmap. I'll link all the reviews for these new products in the description down below, so make sure to check them out. Alright guys, that's it for now. Let me know what you think with all the news that I just unfolded in the comment section down below. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And if you want to see more content like this, please do consider subscribing to this channel. But until then, I'll see you next time. Peace.